Now for global business updates, Rotus Oddiri joins us. Good morning, Rotus.
Good morning, Dr. Batsi. Good morning, Vimbai. Good morning to all our viewers. We begin with Russia. We understand that the U.S. and the EU are considering weighing, or they're weighing new sanctions on Russia. We, of course, had that clip of Trump yesterday saying that he doesn't know what's happened to him, he's killing people, and so on and so forth. So the issue, though, is that a lot of these sanctions haven't worked, and they're also exemptions. For example, Turkey was given an exemption to get natural gas from Russia. The Biden administration approved an exemption for them, and I think the Trump administration is going to renew that. So they're still selling natural gas to Turkey. There's also the issue of shadow fleets. I know the Biden administration tried putting sanctions on shadow fleets selling Russian oil to the likes of China and so on, but those haven't really seemed been effective so far. So we'll get more color on what that is supposed to be, hopefully within the next 24 hours. But the key thing is in order to hit Russia where it hurts, is to just stop their ability to be able to sell oil and gas and in order to other nations. But then this is how the EU got into trouble with energy prices spiking, because Germany, for instance, relies a lot on gas from Russia. We go to the Asian markets, not really much happening in terms of returns this morning. Mixed bag. China's industrial profits for April is what's making the news this morning. The Bureau of Statistics releasing industrial profits for April. You can see them up by 3%. March was up by 2.6%. This is year on year. Through first 4 months of this year, up by 1.4%. We talked about the cutting of interest rates, the LPR, the loan prime rates, the 1 year and the 5 year, and also injection of stimulus to particular sectors that seem to have cushioned some of the economic blows that China has been taking recently. So that's the latest data from there. We also got new data from the UK, food inflation in particular, from the British Retail Consortium. And what we saw from them is a 2.8% climb in food inflation year on year in May. April was 2.6. The average from the first 5 months has been 2.6. Now, again, we looked at headline CPI from the UK, and there were a lot of one-offs in the prior month, which, of course, NHS payments, minimum wage increase, and so on and so forth. So that's impacted corporations and retailers in the UK that are selling food. In fact, the CEO, Helen Dickinson is her name, of the British Retail Consortium, actually spoke to that, saying that with retailers now absorbing the additional £5 billion in costs from April's increased employer national insurance contributions and national living wage, it is no surprise that inflation is rearing its head once again. But again, the Bank of England has said inflation in the final quarter of this year should moderate to, they're expecting it to rise to about 3.7%, I think. We might see a deceleration following these one-offs that we've seen in the UK. To the US, yesterday we talked about how there were reports about some senators in the US pushing back on the big, beautiful bill. Well, now it seems like they're coming out. Rand Paul, the senator from Kentucky, I think it was on one of the networks, saying that, listen, somebody needs to stand up and say that the emperor has no clothes, that the conservatives need to push back on the fact that the big, beautiful bill in the US does not address the deficits and the high amounts of spending. Here it is.
Somebody has to stand up and yell, the emperor has no clothes, and everybody's falling in lockstep on this. Pass the big, beautiful bill. Don't question anything. Well, conservatives do need to stand up and have their voice heard. This is a problem we've been facing for decades now, and if we don't stand up on it, I really fear the direction the country is going.
All right, to the movies. The Memorial Weekend is over in the U.S. The markets will be resuming trading, but a lot of focus was going to be on Hollywood and how well films performed over the extended holiday. So there's a new record. The 2025 Memorial Weekend box office came in at $326.7 million for the top 10. A bulk of that was the top 2. The last record was in 2022. It was about $308 million. Disney's Lilo and Stitch blew away expectations this particular weekend, coming in at $183 million over the 4-day weekend. It is the new box office record for a domestic debut. The last record was, funny enough, held by Tom Cruise, Top Gun Maverick in 2022. And he, of course, is in second place. The Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning, the best performance in the debut for the series, I think about $77 million. So the U.S. box office, it looks like it is on track with a lot of strong performances. Sinners, the Minecraft movie, particularly from Warner Brothers, which looks like they're going to have the largest market share for film production, profits this year. Looks like it's on track to match 2024, looking at $4.3 billion so far. To Nigeria, we've heard from the president in terms of respect to Children's Day, and there's a new report from PAC Research. We're hoping to have one of their analysts talking about Gen Zs and the generational needs for real estate in Nigeria. They were looking at that. If you look at we talk a lot about our population and how our population is dominated by 18-year-olds. A lot of them coming into the labor force want to be able to purchase a home, start a family, and that, of course, is weighing on the real estate sector in Nigeria. We've been banding about this 17 million housing unit deficit. It's about estimated to be more than that, 28 million, 30. If you look at this chart they provided here, for Gen Zs, they're saying they want flexible rental options. Is that possible in a country where, I remember when former Governor Fashola tried to take aim at this annual rental payments? Is that possible for Gen Zs? Millennials, where some of us are, want affordable home ownership. Is that possible when you've got double-digit inflation? And then baby boomers want comfort and accessibility and low-maintenance homes. When you're getting parts that are mostly imported, is that actually possible? We know that Boa Cement and Dangote Cement have said that they will freeze cement prices for federal government projects as part of the Renewed Hope agenda. Again, it's kind of a price cap. The CEO the chairman, of Boa Group, Abdul Samad Rabiu, saying, Alhaji Aliko Dangote approached me and I concurred with him that we should do everything to support Mr. President's Renewed Hope agenda. We're going to freeze the price of cement for any contractions that involve with the Renewed Hope projects or product. That has its own impacts, but that's our updates for today.
Okay, I yield the floor. People can talk so that we can finish the ads.
Listen, Gen Zs wanting flexible rental options in the prime areas of Lekki Phase 1 and Yaba is what took me out. Yeah. But on a more serious note, the value, according to this report, the value of a residential real estate is $2.25 trillion in 2025. So that number totally blew my mind, as well as some of the statistics around urbanization, especially rapid urbanization, juxtaposed with our population growth. And it also just makes you understand why these property developers are now creating these, what they call luxury apartments or luxury homes that are the size of cubicles, because I guess they just feel there's not enough space and too many homes to deliver.
Yeah.
Okay, very quickly, Senator Rand Paul is a Republican senator from Kentucky, and he says the emperor has no clothes. The emperor dances naked. That's the other way to describe it. The emperor's new clothes, as the famous Danish, folktale puts it. Now, we all know that Trump is dancing naked. The first time we discussed this issue, we said it was simple arithmetic. Yeah. Now, you are cutting tax, right? That's lower revenue. Yeah. You are increasing spending on defense, and then you increase budget deficit. Scott Bessent always talks out of turn. He has been trying to defend it. But other people are saying this will create more hardships at a time when, debt is mounting and the economy is going to face a lot of headwinds. Yeah. So he's right from what he says. Trump says he will put 25% tariffs if Apple doesn't produce in the United States. Yeah. Well, I don't see how that's going to work out because it's cheaper to produce in Indonesia, Vietnam. It will be costly to do so in the United States. And finally, Nike says that because of tariffs, they're going to increase the cost of those shoes, beautiful shoes, by about 20%, thereabouts. And they will sell through Amazon first time since 2019. Yeah. So there's a lot that people have to worry about.
Indeed.
Anyway, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.